This week I'm testing the 2022 Maserati Ghibli Trofeo. Recently, Maserati introduced their high-performance model, the Trofeo. It's been applied to all their models in their lineup. This new Trofeo packaging is going to compete against the AMGs, the M from BMW, the RS from Audi, even the V Blackwing from Cadillac. So today I'm going to go a little bit deeper with this Ghibli Trofeo. Under the hood of this Ghibli Trofeo, we can find a V8 3.8 liter twin turbos. Good for 572 horsepower and 538 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Yes, this is a Ferrari engine under the hood, the same as we used to find under the hood of a Ferrari California. Now it's the Ferrari Roma. It's been modified for the Roma for more performance, but still it's a Ferrari engine. So I'm gonna go on the road, see how it is to drive a four-door with a V8 from Ferrari. All right, I'm gonna test the acceleration with the Ghibli Trofeo. We've got a launch control. Launch control on. Ready to go. Ooh, it's pretty strong off the line. You know, the Maserati website says we can do the 0 to 100 kilometers in 4.3 seconds. My point of view, it's under 4 seconds with that launch control. Actually, Motor Trend been testing this car. It's a 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.7 seconds. So under 4 seconds, it makes sense. Really, really good launch control. Really strong off the line. Even if this car is under the umbrella of Stellantis, we don't have like a Stellantis launch control. I could say it feels like a Ferrari launch control. It's really, really good. One of the best I've tried this season. You can do the quarter mile in 12 seconds, top speed of 326 kilometers an hour. This is a performance machine. Obviously, it doesn't have the all-wheel drive system. It's a rear-wheel drive, so it's a bit slower compared to the competition, but it's still pretty good. On the road with the Maserati Ghibli Trofeo, you know, handling wise, we've got that Italian, you know, kind of driving behind the wheel of this Maserati. Pretty sharp. The steering wheel is pretty light. Even from my point of view, it's maybe a little bit too light, but it's pretty nimble. We don't feel, you know, behind the wheel of a big sedan, big and heavy sedan. I think the steering wheel is really precise, really light. I really like that. Obviously, good handling, you know, when you push it down the curve and all that. It's a performance machine, but still, you know, the suspension is pretty aggressive, pretty hard, especially for Canadian road here. You know, probably if I was driving this Maserati down in Texas or maybe in California or Florida, that would do the perfect job. But here, the road conditions are not the best. The suspension is a little bit too hard from my point of view for this market. We can adjust the suspension, but just in normal mode, in comfort mode, I could say, it's pretty harsh, but we can put it even harder with the sport mode. It's not really necessary on the road. There are several modes you can change. You got the normal mode, sport, and Corsa. There's also the ice mode. The ice mode is not for, you know, winter use or snow or ice. It's basically an eco mode. You know, not a bunch of technology to adjust your Ghibli, especially if it's a performance one. Usually when we're inside of our AMG M or RS or even the Cadillac Blackwing, we've got a bunch of technology we can adjust on the screen. I just remember the BMW M5 competition. I was even able to switch from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. That was a big plus from my point of view. I like playing with those techs, especially when, you know, these cars are getting super expensive. This is kind of stuff you're expecting to play with. You know, when you're inside of a simple car like a Subaru BRZ, it's okay not having all that tech because they keep it cheap and simple. But we're inside of a Maserati. That's stuff you can expecting to find inside of this car, and it's not the case. You know, pushing this Ferrari engine is a lot of fun. The transmission works really well. That ZF 8-speed auto, it's a nice mix of, you know, sport driving with smooth, you know, especially when you just cruise around. The shifts are not, you know, aggressive, but once you put it in Corsa, they get really sharp. They really respond well with those big carbon fiber paddle shifter, and they're fixed to the column, not fixed to the steering wheel, so you have to get used to it. It feels more like a Ferrari from my point of view, but it's really cool. Obviously this is a Ferrari engine, so you have to rev it up to exploit really the horsepower and torque. You really have to be high in the RPM band to have that power. At really low RPM, you don't have the power you'll find maybe inside of an AMG or the Monster Blackwing at Cadillac. But this is like another type of driving. This is really like Italian kind of like driving. I really like that. But obviously on the road you have to keep it high in the RPM, so you don't have the kind of like the big torque at your disposal just by pressing on the pedal. You really need to make one or two downshift to have that big power. Design wise, this Ghibli Trofeo is a little different from the normal Ghibli. The front end is a little bit more aggressive. We've got some Trofeo touches on the side, but these little air vents are always red with the Trofeo signature on top. We've got the little you know, Italian flag on each side, you know, on the B pillar, to remind you this car has been assembled in Italia. It's not everyone who thinks that. On the side we've got also the Maserati logo on each side. We've got the Maserati signature in the back. Pretty discreet car, you know, especially for a Trofeo. We don't have any big spoiler, big diffuser, big splitter in the front, or something who scream like I'm the performance model. You know, I like that. This is like more like a mature approach from an Italian manufacturer like Maserati. Sometimes, you know, a lot of people like when it screams like I'm the big performance version, but we're inside of a Maserati. I don't think we need that. Interior wise, we've got a nice mix of a bunch of materials, with super high quality material with some cheaper material, I could say. Once we're inside of this Maserati, we can really feel the partnership with Stellantis. We've got amazing seats, you know, good leather and all that. Inside of the doors, we got nice stitching, nice carbon fiber, a little clock here on the dash with the Maserati logo inside of it. Nice, you know, material and all that. But we've got the switches from a Dodge Charger, the blinker from a Chrysler Grand Caravan, a bunch of stuff like that. It just kind of reminds you, you know, it's still, you know, a partnership with Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and all that. Usually I don't really mind, you know, especially when I was inside of like a Cadillac CT5V Blackwing and stuff like that. But we're inside of a Maserati, those little things kind of like, you know, bring down the magical name of Maserati from my point of view, especially when you know the price of this actual Ghibli. Well, I'm going to talk about the price a little bit later on, but still, with that kind of price, you can be a little bit more picky from my point of view. We've got a nice screen, borrowed from Stellantis. It's a Uconnect system. I don't have anything about the Uconnect system. I prefer having a good system like the Uconnect inside of a Maserati than you know, a weird Italian system who doesn't really work in North America. I have no problem with that screen. The button, you know, below the screen, this looks really, you know, Stellantis and all that. Otherwise, you know, interior wise, I really like those seats. They're super comfortable. That makes up a lot for the harsh ride. Right now, there's some cracks and puddles and all that. We can hear, you know, inside of the cabin, there's some crack and a lot of sound from the structure of this car. It's not the most luxury feel experience, I could say, inside of this Maserati, but it's got the Italian charms, you know. This is the kind of stuff you have to expect from Maserati or Alfa Romeo or stuff like that. But still, stepping in the back, not a ton of space. You can fit two. There's a big hump in the middle. Not three kids can fit there. It's basically a four-door. Sometimes you're gonna bring your friends to have a nice dinner, but you know, using those seats in the back all the time, maybe not the best scenario, especially when you compare it with the competition. Trunk-wise, decent amount of space. You got plenty of space to bring all your golf club and stuff like that. So pretty decent, you know, to use on a daily basis, especially with that, you know, Ferrari engine and all that. It's still practical. One thing I'm not really impressed this week, this car is not really loud exhaust wise, I could say. I don't have the full Ferrari, you know, song out of this engine. I wish it would be a little louder. Even in Corsa mode, it's not super loud. It would be fun to have a loud exhaust on this Maserati, especially when I compare it to the V Blackwing or the M5 competition, who were really loud for street legal cars. I wish we could hear a little bit more of this Ferrari, you know, sound. Fuel economy wise, this week I was averaging 16 liters per 100 kilometers. Of course, I didn't use a lot the ICE mode, and you know, I was revving that engine to, you know, squeeze out that horsepower and that sound from the Ferrari engine. This is kind of like normal fuel economy you can expect from a high performance super saloon like this one. Similar fuel economy to the CT5V Blackwing. Obviously the Blackwing was close to 700 horsepower, a little bit more horsepower than this Maserati, but still on a daily basis using this car every day. The Germans are really good to have really good engine who does the job for a daily use. When I think about the BMW or the AMG have the EQ boost stuff, you know, the hybrid stuff. Those engines were able to deliver big horsepower, good fuel economy, and both, you know, aggressive driving and, you know, luxury, comfortable on the road. So obviously you have to be in love with that Ferrari engine. When you just look at the stats compared to the Germans are always king in that department. Price wise, the Ghibli Trofeo starts 141,000 Canadian, and the model I'm driving this week, it's good for $169,670. Super expensive, especially when you compare it to the competition or even the Blackwing, especially here in Canada without the tax, and we have got a brand new tax on cars over 100,000. This is easily a $200,000 super saloon. It's super expensive. Only the paint on this Maserati this week, it's more than $21,000. The options are super pricey, but that gives you kind of like a unique advantage compared to the other ones. Yes, those Maserati are really rare on the road. There's not a ton of them, and you can personalize those Maserati as you wish. So there's tons of like paint you can apply to it. Of course, with that price tag, it's no surprise, but it's the same for the interior, the color of the calipers and all that. You can really build your custom Ghibli as you wish, and you know, once you build it as you wish, the chance of seeing the actual same cars as your Maserati will be really, really low. So that can be a plus, you know, especially if you don't want to be like everyone having a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz and all that. That can be a plus for this price tag from my point of view. And also, this is one of the only remaining four-door high performance with the rear-wheel drive, just like the Cadillac Blackwing. Those two are the only one pretty much on the market. All the other ones with the big power have the all-wheel drive. Of course, it's more practical. It makes more sense, especially if you live here in Canada. But if you're passionate about rear-wheel drive, big power, this is one of the only choice you've got on the market, especially if you like that Italian charms. I think this is a really big plus for this car. Obviously, you know, if you ask myself to compare it with the other ones are more practical, they have more power, more fuel economy, you can use it all year round. But I think for some people, just shifting this car at high RPM, it's worth it. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Maserati Ghibli Trofeo? Is it worth the price tag? Or for you, it's just like there's no way you can compete with the Germans? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And we're gonna see each other on the next review.